Well, the question this Friday morning is a simple one. Will the 49ers beat the Cowboys? And I do have an answer for you. It's up in this article on The Athletic this morning. 49ers against the Cowboys. The 49ers' improved offensive line is gearing up for its biggest test yet. The Dallas Cowboys lead the NFL in pressure rate from their defensive line. Micah Parsons is a hell of a player, but they have a lot more than just Micah Parsons up front. DeMarcus Lawrence, Dante Fowler Jr., that list goes on 5, 6, 7 names deep. And the 49ers have the number 3 pass blocking efficiency in the league, the best line of the Shanahan era. So it's only fitting that this titanic matchup of two rivals, the 49ers and the Cowboys, is going to come down to being decided in the trenches. I really do think that the trenches are going to be the focal point of this matchup. The strongest men on the football field are going to determine this because you've got Nick Bosa and his cohort of defensive linemen who dominated the Cowboys last year on one side, and you have a very, very good Cowboys defensive line on the other side. I think you have two respectable offensive lines. The 49ers are surging, and, who wins more of those two matchups is going to set the table for their team. So let's go through some of the specific keys in this game. Key one relates exactly to what I just said. The 49ers need to neutralize Micah Parsons and company because that Dallas pressure is going to come in droves from them if the blocking is not on point. Now, this is relying on the 49ers offensive line. Micah Parsons lines up against both left and right tackle. So Trent Williams, Mike McGlinchey obviously have to be on point, but so does Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy can't be spinning out of the pocket too early. Seattle was able to force him out of the pocket to his offside, and those spins out of the pocket meant that Brock Purdy had to reset his lower half and usually just throw it away. In the second half, he made it a little bit more of a point to step up toward the right, and you saw the results. Stepping up toward the right helped Brock Purdy because that's his natural side, and he can deliver off schedule. But the point is that delivering in structure is where the 49ers can cook the Cowboys. We saw Brandon Ayuk take Trayvon Diggs to school last year on a few routes. Just last week, in fact, the first touchdown of the game, Brock Purdy executed correctly when the pocket started caving in a bit on him. He stepped up, used his agility within the pocket, found Christian McCaffrey for a touchdown. So to neutralize a good Dallas pass rush, it's going to take all 11 for the 49ers and maybe even 12 if you consider Kyle Shanahan. The offensive line obviously has to do its job, has to be on its P's and Q's, but so does Brock Purdy. His movement has to jive with the offensive line. He has to stay within structure because the 49ers have so many weapons downfield. The Cowboys won't be able to cover them, but you don't have to cover the weapons if you get to the quarterback and you either sack him or throw him off schedule before those weapons can spring free. So the great equalizer for Dallas can be its defensive line, and the 49ers need to do a good job handling it. Key number 2 is the inverse. The 49ers need to force Dak Prescott into his regular season mistakes. Take a look at Dallas's DVOA profile here in the preview. There's a lot of blue on the screen for Dallas, and that means that there's a lot of above average performances here. This is a good football team that the 49ers are playing. But it's lighter blue in the offensive third of this DVOA chart, and that means that the Dallas Cowboys have not been overwhelming offensively this year. The defense has led the way for Dallas. Now, against Tampa Bay last week, both sides of the football got the job done. Dak Prescott was awesome. 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. But Dak has his career high interception rate this season. That was entering the playoffs. 3.8% interception rate. It had never been higher than 2.7%. Usually it had been down at like 1.6, 1.7%. He threw 15 picks this year in limited time because he was out with an injury. So Dak Prescott did not do a great job taking care of the football over the course of the regular season, and the 49ers need to perpetuate those mistakes, create an environment in which Dak Prescott is uncomfortable to draw that out of him, because as you can see here, the offensive efficiency for the Cowboys has been okay, but it hasn't been great. And last year, the 49ers drew mistakes out of Dak Prescott. I still remember the K'Wan Williams interception that set up the Deebo Samuel guaranteed touchdown when Deebo said, "Just give me the ball, Kyle. I'll take care of it." Well, don't forget the preceding play. 49ers victimized Dak Prescott with the INT on that play. So they need to force Dak Prescott into his regular season mistakes. I'm going to talk a little bit about how they can do that in the next 2 keys. But key 3 is something that really relates to key 1. Bully Dallas on the ground. I just mentioned the Deebo Samuel play. It was Both Debo and Elijah Mitchell that racked up yardage against Dallas last year. 49ers ended up with 38 carries. I think Dallas is a pass rush oriented defense. Dan Quinn has got them roaring around the edge. He's got guys that prey on footballs in the back end. And Trayvon Diggs, 3 interceptions this year. I believe he had 6 last year. He came in as an INT machine last year. But in a way, the Cowboys are boom or bust against the pass. And I think, even though the run DVO has been better this year, I watched Trayvon Diggs against Tampa Bay. He didn't seem all too interested in contact. Jerry Jones made a big deal about Dallas needing to up its physicality after they lost to the 49ers last year. That's a lot easier said than done. The 49ers need to bully Dallas on the ground again, because you know what? That's the best way to keep a pass rush on its heels. Micah Parsons can't pin his ears back and run with reckless abandon at Brock Purdy if Christian McCaffrey, Elijah Mitchell, Debo Samuel, Jordan Mason, all those guys are bowling them over on the ground game. So the 49ers are going to look really hard to establish the run. That might mean setting it up with the pass. The 49ers have been a pass to set up the run team for the majority of this season now, because Kyle Shanahan has figured out, we're facing a lot of 6-man fronts. We've got to loosen up those 6-man fronts. But whichever way you reach balance, you have to reach it, because that is what's going to allow the 49ers to flex the muscles of their physicality. And that's what can neutralize Parsons and that Dallas pressure. So key 1 and key 3, they both go together. Now, key 2, force Dak into his regular season mistakes. That goes together with key 4. Charvarius Ward needs to neutralize CeeDee Lamb in man coverage more often than not. There's a clip of Charvarius Ward picking off Dak Prescott while covering CeeDee Lamb on a go route back in the Kansas City days for Charvarius Ward. It wasn't a great throw from Dak Prescott. It was underthrown, but Ward had Lamb blanketed, and the 49ers are going to need Ward to have him covered well more often than not. This is a 1,300-yard receiver in CeeDee Lamb that the 49ers last year, he was coming off an 1,100-yard season, held the 1 catch. So, and they had worse corners. So the 49ers can neutralize CeeDee Lamb the same way that they did last season, because they have more firepower in the secondary. But it's going to take a little bit of a bounce-back performance from Charvarius Ward to get it done. As you know, I said that the 49ers shouldn't be worried about the fact he gave up a 50-yard touchdown to DK Metcalf last week. Good players are going to get their own. But you can't have it happen all too often, and CeeDee Lamb is another good player. If Ward neutralizes Lamb in this game, it opens up a whole bevy of possibilities for the rest of the 49ers defense, because you could focus on the other Dallas skill position weapons. This is why you pay big money to a top cornerback. So that way you don't have to worry about what's happening at that corner of the field, because the cornerback has got it on lockdown, and the other 10 offensive players for Dallas, and they have a lot of talent on this team, can get more of your attention. It's the whole coverage fuels rush principle, right? If Charvarius Ward can do a good job against CeeDee Lamb, the 49ers might be able to really focus on getting after Dak Prescott, because he has to hold the ball a couple more hitches, or at least one more hitch, and that's where you force him into his regular season mistakes. 15 interceptions. 49ers led the league in turnover differential. They also led the league in interceptions, and that is highly, highly correlated with winning football games. So these two keys definitely also highly correlated with winning this football game for the 49ers. All right, key 5, back-end discipline for the 49ers against play action. So it's not just about Charvarius Ward. It's about Talanoa Hufanga. It's about Deshaun Gibson. It's about Deommodore Lenoir, who's coming off his best career game for the 49ers. You have to be ready for those play fakes. Tony Pollard, Ezekiel Elliott, they're 2 threats at running back. Dak Prescott is a threat to run play action. Dak Prescott's a threat to take off on his own. I mean, stopping the QB run, containing that out of the wide 9, something I talked about for 20 minutes last night. 49ers are going to need to do, but they're going to have to stay at home against deception. They didn't against the team like the Raiders. That was probably their worst defensive performance of the year. Well, Dallas is a balanced offense, and they could use play fake deception. 49ers are going to need to stay disciplined. In fact, it's one of those games where you're going to expect Dallas to score some points. I said it last night. Dallas is not a team to just score 7 or 10. 20 is probably a more realistic goal for the 49ers defense to hold Dallas to. And to be able to do that, you have to take some punches, but you have to stay balanced defensively, and you can't give up gaping holes and massive plays. You can't give up those plays that just completely, blow off your arm if you're the 49ers, right? You have to sit there and you have to make Dallas earn what they get in this game, and that means back-end discipline versus the play action. And the really good tight end, Dalton Schultz, who was Christian McCaffrey's teammate at Stanford, he catches a lot of passes in the seams. So Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, they're going to have to trail Dalton Schultz up those seams. Warner's the best pass defending linebacker in the middle of the field in the NFL. But Hufanga and Tashawn Gibson are going to have to help too. It's going to be a multiple coverage kind of game for the 49ers. Bottom line is this is going to be a war. Dallas has a lot of talent. The 49ers are better, but Dallas has a lot of talent. I mean, you saw it in the DVOA chart. There's a lot of blue on that chart. There's not a single amount of red. So this game, we're going to sit back and we're going to watch two teams who are arch rivals, longtime arch rivals, absolutely go at it. Mano a mano, and I think it's going to be entertaining football. It's going to be the most watched non-Super Bowl game of the year, in my opinion. That's my prediction. Tickets are going for $49,000. Somebody literally bought a ticket for $49K the other day. I think the get-in price is $500 or $600. I mean, this is a hot ticket for a reason. It's going to be a very watched game for a reason, and it's because it's the most glamorous rivalry in football. And I'll say this, the last time that the 49ers hosted the Cowboys in the playoffs, the 49ers went on to win the Super Bowl. It was in January of 1995. It was also the most star-studded game in NFL history. So get fired up for this, because if you're a football fan, you like 49ers Cowboys. This is let's say the Lakers Celtics of the NFL. This is awesome. And we have just been treated enough to have this now 2 years in a row after not having it for 25 plus years or however long it had been since 1995. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm going to answer the question, will the 49ers beat the Cowboys? The answer to that question is yes, the 49ers will beat the Cowboys. If you want the score prediction, go ahead and check out the article. It's linked in the comment section and in the description and right now in the chat. So go ahead and check that out. That will have two score predictions, one from me and one from Matt Barrows. Otherwise, well, like and subscribe to the video because you're going to get a score prediction much closer to game time on the channel. But this is a full 2,000 words previewing 49ers Cowboys, so you absolutely should click on the link and check it out. All right, everybody take care. Have a great Friday. Much more original content coming up today, so brace yourselves for that. We'll see you soon.